I seen my dad run out of material, and then I can tell like he'll just start riffing and just
So you've watched him a
picking on
lot.
people in the crowd.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
I
that's
got
what I did.
older-
I started talking to people in the crowd. I was
Yeah,
like,
he
you
just-
sir. Like, just
That is a skill in itself too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that-
if
I
you
mean,
can if you can riff like that,
I think
that's
every
something
great
else.
comedian probably has to
Yeah.
like develop that at some
Yeah,
point.
I mean,
so.
and I don't want to dwell on your dad, but for sure he grew up in the time of when you had to struggle, and through hecklers there was no direct path or path that had been really that had been developed
Right.
to success. So he was just in the trenches doing it, and probably learned how to deflect all the heckles.
I think that's how he got into comedy in the first place. Is like he grew up in Compton, grew up in a real rough area, and he wasn't like the tough fighter guy. He was the guy who learned how to
Class
like
clown dude.
finesse through his
Yeah.
wit and
Yeah.
humor and like do that. So he kind of, I think that's was like a survival skill at first for him.
Yep.
For sure.
And then it turned into his
How did you
career.
gravitate towards skating through those years? In your
I-
early years. How old were you?
I was just shy of my 12th birthday, and I went to junior high school. It was a new school for me, and I used to walk to school in the morning. It was pretty close to my house, and I just would see kids skating in the parking lot before and after school, and I would just stand there like,
What year was that? Because
mesmerized.
that feels like a year that was
It was like
kind of the underground days, street days.
it was coming out. It was like late '96, just before like
Yeah, I mean,
Christmas 1996.
okay. Yep.
And I would watch them, and it's like when you see a magician do a magic trick, and you're like, "How did you do that?" And they're like, "I can't tell you." And you're like, "No, I have to learn. How is it?" And I became obsessed. Like every day, I would watch them before and after school. I would know that the certain group of kids wherever they were going to be, and I would just kind of stand off in the distance.
Before you skated.
Yeah, before I skated, and I was really shy. It was a new school. I didn't know anybody, so I just would watch them, and I would see them ollie, or somebody would do a kickflip. I was like, it's something about it. I was like, I was obsessed. I need to know how that's done. How do you do that? I can't believe it. So eventually, I worked up courage. I started talking to one of the guys, and he let me like try it and roll around on his board. And I knew, I was like, I want a skateboard. So for that Christmas, I told my family, everybody, like, don't give me a present, just give me some money. Let me go buy a skateboard, and that was it.
I remember when people started recognizing your talents, there was all this buzz, and it was funny to me. Not funny, but it was interesting to me because they kept saying, "Well, yeah, his dad's a comedian" or something like that, because their generation, who were your age, didn't really know your dad from his big success.
Yeah.
I did, because I was older. You know what I mean? I was like, "Oh yeah, Paul Rodriguez, of course." And they're just like, "Yeah, I don't know, his dad's a comedian or something, but this kid rips. Like, he's so gnarly." And every time, I mean, that was for at least a couple of years before suddenly it was like, "Oh, there he is," and he's killing it, and he's getting coverage and things like that. But I'm more curious about, at one point, did you realize you had it?
Thank God I was so young and naive. I didn't necessarily realize that I had it. I just knew that I had a big dream. I just wanted to be pro, and in my mind, I was gonna be pro, and that was it. So I didn't know if it was talent or not. I fell so in love with it. I couldn't get enough of it. And once I found out, like, whoa, this is people's job, this is their career. Of course I want this job. I would never want any different job. I get to do what I love all day long. So that's kind of what drove me. So naively from the very beginning, once I found out there was a thing as a pro skater, I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do that. And I just skated all day, every day.
I
So
just
I didn't
feel like I
notice, yeah.
saw you. You see it very rarely, but you see people that just kind of master it, like you, like Costin, where it's like, oh, any trick, he's got it. You know what I mean? And he's got it. Even if he's never done it, he already has worked it out in his head. Like, oh, this is how I'm going to do it. And I just feel like you're one of those people that it was so obvious once you came into your own. And I'm wondering if you ever had that epiphany where you're like, oh, I can figure all this out.
No, not at
Not at
all. I appreciate it. It's crazy hearing that from you. But it just, especially at that age, 12, 13, 14, you have endless energy. You don't get sore. Your body doesn't hurt. It was literally every waking hour and second, I was either skating, watching a skate video, or reading a magazine. Even in school, I was just like thinking about like, when I get home from school,
I know that one.
what I want to
Yep.
practice, and I'm visualizing all day a specific trick or
I used to
whatever it
make
is.
half pipes out of my mashed potatoes.
That's so cool.
I would do
Your-
lines at
Is
dinner.
it your close encounters?
Yes, basically close encounter skate sessions
That's
at the
insane.
table.
I
Yeah,
love it.
but that's a good. That's like a because you're one of the more talented people in skateboarding. Like athletically, people will be like, "Yeah, man, he seems to do it easier than most." Not saying it's easy, just you see like a Danny Way type where I'm like, God damn, that you could do but you could do anything. Like just looks like you've got it. It's easier, but like Conor McGregor and all these other people that I've interviewed, where it's like, no, I'm not the most talented person in the world. Even doing this show with Tony, I know Tony Hawk. I've known Tony Hawk my whole career, but to know his opinion of when I was little, I wasn't the most talented. I was just obsessed, and I went every day, all day. And it's like that's the real answer. People don't. You're not like Michael Jordan is not born like okay, his body is a good shape for basketball. I'll give you that.
Right.
But there was some kind of drive that was more drive than anybody else in basketball. Same with you when
Yeah.
you're talking about how you were skating when you were 12, all day, every day. And I feel like a lot of people say that, but your version of all day, every day was indeed all day, every day. Because that's
Yeah.
the difference. The most talented is the one that didn't leave. They just stayed.
I think the obsession is the talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and if you have good physical gifts, that's a plus.
Yep.
But you can like
You
compensate
can sail
for
right
that.
up alongside it because I've done it. I'm not athletic, and I put in enough work to
Yeah.
sail right up alongside
Right.
assholes like this.
Your obsession will compensate for the
Yeah,
lack of
for
whatever
sure.
you have. And I think like Tony, maybe you can probably also attest to this. Like not only when I was a kid, when I was skating, I wasn't just skating like, oh, I want to learn this trick. I was skating, and in my head, it was like a whole fantasy land going on. Like in my mind, I was skating like I would imagine I'm skating next to Tom Penny right here, and I'm gonna get his back. Or Costin, I'm gonna get his back. I would watch a video and then pretend like when I was out skating, I'm filming for the new girl video or whatever.
yeah.
Like I would like create these more epic scenes in my mind, and
Yeah.
it made it feel more important to me. And I would just so like I feel like that imagination was really key in pushing it because I don't know the rest of my friends. Maybe they were just like, "Oh, this is a cool trick. I want to learn it. I'm just gonna try it a lot." But to me, I put like a real like sense of urgency and importance to it. You know?
Put a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah, I guess. But it was. I guess I liked it. It was just what I.
But
what
it
I
wasn't
liked.
all that wasn't in the quest to be pro, right? That was just because
It
you
was
wanted
just
to get
what.
better.
Yeah, I didn't even understand what. I knew I wanted to be pro once I found out pro skaters are, but I didn't even understand the value of money and what that meant and getting paid. So I just knew I wanted free stuff and I want to skate with my heroes.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I was like, cool, I get all the cool boards and free product I want. And then I want to like skate with Eric Costin. I want to skate with Tom Penny, Andrew Reynolds, and like these guys and just be around them, you know? So that what really drove me.